Hello and welcome. You're watching WIO Support's Close Encounters of the Tech Kind. We're going to have a fantastic conversation today. We're happy that you're going to join us. We're going to talk about Salt Typhoon. It's one of those interesting continuing hacks that's going on right now and kind of worrisome. And we've got a lot to talk about, a lot of questions, a lot of answers, and a lot of speculation. So without further ado, I'm John, and I'm going to introduce the team here. We've got Mike next.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you.
We got Jackson.
Hey, how's it going?
And the man at the helm of this technical broadcast is Artie.
Evening, folks.
Got a fantastic little avatar there. Pops out when he talks. I love that part.
Not yet. I forgot.
But yeah,
to turn it
we got. Okay, so you're in hiding. On incognito.
The door to the cabin is closed right now.
It's a good thing.
What are we flying, by the way? Do we know?
up. Something a little bit less technically advanced than a potato.
Nice.
Do we have an airspeed and altitude? I'm kind of curious now.
I'd have to check with the swallow. It's about the same as the airspeed of a swallow.
Is that African or European?
North American.
Ooh.
Bonus points to Jackson for giving the correct response there.
That was awesome.
Uh,
Yeah,
Well,
so
all right.
we've got a hack that's going on that is pretty impressive. And the fact that it's still going is actually more frightening than impressive, but I don't know which one's more, the impressiveness or the size of the hack and how scary it is.
I think they affect each other exponentially.
It's more scary, then it's more impressive, then it's more scary than that. Now it's more impressive. So I think that's shock and awe right there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got a issue where foreign nationals, we've discovered this. A group out of China has infiltrated the U.S. telecom system. They've opened up and got inside 8 that we know of U.S.-based telephone carriers, which
Didn't they
means
have
they're monitoring every
Didn't they have a
call.
ninth
They're
one come out?
monitoring every text. What's that?
Didn't they have a 9th one that was unidentified that was discussed this week?
Not confirmed yet, but it's I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's those that are confirmed that are the ones we know about. Who knows whichever ones they got into that are the smaller places. But if you use a cell phone, everything you've been saying and doing has been tracked, recorded, and archived and analyzed. Whatever you want, they've got that information. Scary part is that includes top leadership in our country. They use cell phones. Now they've been snooped on. So yay
Well-
that.
And I think one thing people don't understand either is that you have, like, in the list, like I'm just looking, a couple of them were T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T. But, like, for example, there's a
Those
lot
little
of
companies.
small ones, right? But I mean, like, they also, it's not just like that name as well, because, like, I mean, there's Mint Mobile, there's TrackPhone is another one. They're like these smaller companies, but they're branches. I mean, they're all underneath one of these parent companies. So I mean, it's pretty much everything is under T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T. Like, those are the 3. You know,
So that's
and
to
if
say
you-
that T-Mobile, if it's T-Mobile that's been hacked, it's T-Mobile plus anybody who uses the T-Mobile network, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that piggyback off of that. Like, I think even
no.
Mint was.
We don't know yet. You know, it could just be that primary carriers, not the ancillary stuff. But you know, if you're using let's say Metro by T-Mobile, you may have skirted that. I don't know, because they've got a different billing system, different accounting. But is it using the carrier's network, and does the carrier's network have full access to that data, or is it handled it
Well-
different? We don't know.
I guess the question is, what data was stolen? Do we know, or was it just like they've been here?
Let me correct that. What data is currently being stolen?
Yeah, I mean, what do they have access to?
Anything that is not actively being encrypted, which, for depending upon the
And even the
network, and
encrypted.
I'm sorry.
They also see the encrypted files, but they can't break the encryption theoretically.
Yes, I'm saying that the things that most people have to worry about is the unencrypted stuff, which can be your phone calls. It is your text messaging, unless you are specifically using an Android, or you're communicating across from one iPhone to another iPhone. Those have an end-to-end encryption in their messaging system. But if you're going from an iPhone to an Android, it's going to be encrypted one way, but not the other, because of
Mhm.
just the way that these companies have decided to set up their messaging services. That, thankfully, will be changing.
And I don't know if I like that change so much. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, at some point. But if we had just one system, then that's one arrow that has to hit the target, and then they have everything. If you got two systems, now that's two targets.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that, I mean, my assumption would be that if you're one of those child companies, I mean, they have to have access to that because I mean, it all goes through T-Mobile's network, right? Or AT&T or whoever. I could be wrong on that, but that to me seems like if
We don't know where the breach actually is physically, like if it's in their master switch in Central Town, USA. It might not. I mean, if you're on Mint Mobile and you send it to another Mint Mobile user, does it go back up to the T-Mobile mothership and then come back down?
yeah, good point. Good questions. Which on that point rises the question. I mean, I have so many questions actually. How do we know how long they've been here? How long has this been ongoing? I mean, we know it was officially announced not that long ago, but did they have any sense of how long Salt Typhoon's been in the network?
So,
Artie?
Salt Typhoon themselves have been around since 2020. At least that's as far back as the security agencies that keep track of this stuff can trace them back to. But as for this hack, I think the earliest evidence that they found is from 2022.
I'm seeing that here from Bleeping Computer. Yeah, likely 1 to 2 years. The attacks have been underway for that amount of time, so I guess that makes sense. Which
Well,
happy
and
2025.
Happy New Year, everybody. We're now entering year 3 of the breach. So here's a bit of advice just to kind of frame this, because I know we're talking doom and gloom. We've been hacked. What can you do? I think the best security posture is assume you've been breached. Assume your information is being watched, and then you can make decisions from there.
It's not even a wild assumption either. That's a safe bet to take.
You roll back 4 months, and it was a safe bet. Now we know better.
So okay, so we know they've been there for maybe 1 to 2 years, and seeing as how it's all of these telecom companies, what was the common denominator? Like, why them? Was there something just inherently bad about the system that we're using that made it easy for them to get in, or like, what was their door? Do we know?
You
Nope.
want me to feel that one?
Yeah, if you know
Okay.
something I don't.
So the believed entry point is a backdoor that has been built into all phone systems, required by the U.S. government for their own wiretapping purposes. So
You know, I've heard that. I haven't heard confirmation that that was
that's
the
why I
actual
said the
entry point.
believed.
Okay. Yeah, I want to
Oh.
make sure that we all understand that that's the speculative entry point.
And
Well,
It's
let's-
most
unless
likely. I
we,
mean, if you program in a master key to everything, you only have to pick that one lock.
Yeah, let's speculate though. So explain this backdoor to me. I've heard of it once. I probably understood it a while ago, but give it to me again.
Go for
So,
it, Artie.
um, think of it like you've got your cell phone. Your cell phone is in front of you, and you've got your passcode on it. Only you can get in there with your passcode like instantly. Somebody else would have to, try to root their way into it. If you use facial recognition, that can be spoofed nowadays. Fingerprints, those various types of logins, um, they increase the security a bit. But if there were a code that, say, you've got an iPhone, and say Apple decided that they wanted to have a way to access any phone, so they just enter in like a 30-digit code on the password screen, and that unlocks any of their devices. That's essentially what this backdoor type thing would be for the phone network. It's something that allows a government agency to more or less snoop on phone calls after they get a warrant.
Supposedly.
Hmm.
You don't need the warrant to actually type in the passcode, but you need a warrant to take that to court.
So what's the stance now? Has that changed, or is that still?
It's hard coded. It's built in.
It's
Well,
firmware.
right, but I mean, if we were to switch, um, again, this is coming from someone who knows very little about how the phone networks are designed. But I mean, if we were to say go to phone network 2.0 or whatever, is that still going to be an effect? Or since this hack, is the government kind of taking a different stance on it? Do we know?
From my understanding, it would not change. There would still need to be that caveat in there just because the way the regulations are set up for that. The laws are written in such a way to always have that kind of access available. And so it would literally take an act of Congress to get it changed.
Awesome. So we are shooting ourselves in the foot with no intention to not.
Essentially.
Well, I mean, and this is where, I'm going to take a hot take here, and forgive me for talking about politicians in a bad way. Go figure. Um,
You have to ask for
we're
forgiveness
putting
for that.
laws we're putting laws in place and then making it illegal to break them. So it's like, here's a master password, 30 digits long, whatever it is. It's illegal to crack that. We'll throw you in jail for 100,000 years. Okay, China just used that passcode and they got into all our phones. We put a back door. We made it illegal to go through the back door. Somebody just went through the back door in an inglorious way. We now have a problem, and we can't put them in jail because they've got the code, they've got our access, they got everything. There's no accountability. So people put laws in place and forced a back door in place so that they can maintain control and access on bad guys. I mean, if you're following a terrorist, you want to find somebody. You want to have somebody on your team that can break into their phone in a heartbeat, so you can track them, monitor them, whatever. But that code got out. That access got out. Good intentions. Didn't see the downside of that.
I will say that
So unfortunately, there's no technical solution. Go ahead. Sorry.
no worries. Apple is one of the few that I actually have respect for in this regard, because they have been fighting tooth and nail to prevent putting in backdoors to their devices. And I'm just kudos to them for keeping that fight up, because that's protecting their users. And I mean, if anything else, and I'm not a big fan of Apple, that's at least a little check mark in the win for them.
I remember it being in the news probably a decade or more ago, where there was a criminal who got caught and they recovered his phone, and the police wanted access to the phone, and it was an iPhone, and so they were petitioning Apple to give them access to the phone, and they refused to do it. And so that was like a huge thing, and that was kind of the first like Apple put their foot down.
Wasn't the first, but it was the biggest, because you had somebody who had clearly done something illegal, something wrong, major incident. I forget what the details were, but
Yeah.
Apple said, yes, but yes, he did wrong. We're not going to break into the phone, because that sets the precedent that if somebody does something wrong, we'll destroy their opportunity to defend themselves in court.
It's a slippery slope argument that is very valid.
On that case, was it even possible at that point? Was there a backdoor that Apple could have used to access that?
So Apple, near as I remember, there's this, I read it on the internet, so it must be true. Near as I remember, Apple said no, and the FBI was doing their thing, trying to get into it. And then one day they said, don't worry about it. We got this.
So they figured something out.
Yeah. And then quietly, and several security experts saw this, but they quietly said, we don't need Apple's assistance anymore. We got this. So in future cases, they will also have access to those devices. And it could be that they bought some forgive the term here, weapons grade hacker tools. The NSO group has I'm spacing the name. What is it, Artie? Pegasus. That can break into phones without a click.
Specifically iPhones.
Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things. Like, there's tools, and then there's resources to protect yourself against those hacker tools, and then the hackers develop better tools. It's a big cat and mouse game. There's always going to be somebody better. It's just a matter of time.
So I just did a little search on the Apple thing, and it seems there was even another incident, more recent in 2020, where the FBI recovered a terrorist's iPhone. They wanted information from it, and Apple says, like, well, first of all, not only will they wouldn't, but they can't, right? Because there is no backdoor. And so I guess that's the big thing. So that's the contrast between the whole telecom thing and companies like Apple, where there is no backdoor. Not only they won't allow it, but I mean they can't, even if they wanted to, because there is no such way to get into it from the back unless you break through the encryption.
But there is a way of tracking the communication in and out from the device. So even though you're not in the device, you can monitor every data packet coming in and out, and record that, analyze that, and know what you need to know about them.
Sure. But as
Now,
far
I will
as
say this.
Go ahead.
I will say this, and this might be another controversial take, but we shouldn't let technology supplant the need for good law enforcement people doing their job. A good team will get all those human assets. They will find out what went wrong, who went wrong, what their contacts are. They'll use bits of information that where you don't need to open up somebody's phone to get black and white, here it is. You should be able to piece it together without that.
Yeah, I could agree with you on to some extent on that. Yeah, I think that's a valid point.
Because at some level, and I'm not admitting to anything wrong. I'm not saying I've done wrong. I'm not saying I could have done wrong. But I will say that if we follow, what was it, Soviet Russia, Yakov Smirnov in Soviet Russia. Yeah, Stalin said, "Show me the man, I'll show you the crime." Doesn't matter how good you live your life, you will you stumble some way, somehow, and fall awry of an errant law somewhere, and then you're a criminal. Technology shouldn't be scanning your life to find all those little mistakes that you've made to then find a way to punish you for it.
Yeah. I agree with you on that, and I think that's what's great about our justice system is, you know, it serves justice rather than
On the
some
flip side,
arbitrary. Go ahead.
I think technology should help, but I don't think cell phones are as respected as they should be. I think cell phones are really a mirror of your brain at some level. You know, you can't read a person's thoughts, but if you look at the person's phone and you monitor that phone 24/7, you'll be able to very quickly see what their thought patterns are. What do they search? What do they find? What do they look for? What files do they save? Who do they talk to? What's the length of messages they send? Are they short? Are they long? Are they involved? You can glean a lot from communications.
So, with all of these flaws that are there, what are some things that we can do to protect our communications?
Turn off your phone.
Bury it.
Okay, for somebody that's like terminally online, what is something they can do to help mitigate damage via their communications?
Mike, what do you think?
There's some people that would say just treat it as though it's a public thing. Don't say anything or post anything or do anything that you wouldn't like. If it matters to you that somebody got a hold of it and it could use it to damage you, don't post it. Don't share it. Don't send it. Don't whatever. Don't communicate it. It's getting to the point where really our thoughts. I mean, you alluded to the fact that we could probably make a pretty good guess about what is actually inside your mind, but that's about the only place anymore that is absolutely private, as long as you don't open your mouth or
Mhm.
something, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody is into like real estate transactions and they're researching that and they're watching YouTube instructional videos on how to flip homes and just all that stuff, you can quickly deduce that person is that's their mythos. That's who they are right now.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, the biggest concern that I have, knowing about the Salt Typhoon hack that is ongoing is, you know, a lot of people that have enabled two-factor authentication is going through SMS. Everyone gets texts for that, and I mean that's just, it's not secure. That can easily be intercepted. So I would say, you know, if you are going to do any sort of communication, make sure that communication is encrypted end to end. So things like what we were saying, like if you are an iPhone user, if you're using iMessage, that's end to end encrypted, and if it's you know, Android to Android, that's encrypted as well, or something like WhatsApp. You know, make sure that the things that you're sending aren't just getting thrown out there.
I'm going to put a caveat on the WhatsApp one. Although the communications are encrypted, the parent company Meta for WhatsApp, they've had their own breaches when it comes to that content. So it's you want to make sure that it's going to be impossible to 100% secure yourself. But taking the steps, yes, WhatsApp is going to be better than just, you know, an SMS message. But there are going to be issues that can arise depending upon who you go with
Mhm.
for the encryption of your conversations.
Well, let's talk the two-factor authentication you mentioned. You know, that's not going to go WhatsApp. That's going to go SMS. So here's the upside and here's the downside. The upside is it's a one-time passcode that's coming to you from your bank or from your email system or for whatever you logged into. that one-time passcode is going to expire in 30 seconds, 60 seconds, whatever that number is. Might be 15 minutes. Who knows? So if they've got your name and your password and your one-time token, then you're compromised.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be more of a real-time hack. You'd have to be targeted by the system, by somebody in the system, to say, okay, we need into Jackson's bank account now, wait for the one-time password, flag that, and we'll have one of our team go on and hack into Jackson's bank.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, I don't think any of us are important enough for that to happen. It would be more of like your key politicians, your key military people. That's who's going to get your prime time attention.
And very rich people.
So that's your upside. Is the value of your target isn't high enough, and the majority of Americans aren't that high. So the downside is all of us have compromised. The good news is most of us are not important enough to care.
Unless you're getting calls from a call center in India.
Is my warranty about to expire?
Yes, your Microsoft Windows security warranty is about to expire. You need to let me log into your system so that I can fix that for you.
Oh, you're talking like the scam
Yeah.
call centers.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's frightening stuff.
Those are the ones that most people would have to worry about, but they will also get information from hacks like the telecom one.
And that's so let's stay focused on this SMS two-factor thing. If your organization has a two-factor application, a lot of companies are switching away from SMS and going to an application-based. So Google has an authenticator, Microsoft has an authenticator, some other companies, they're
Duo is a
developing
great
their
one.
own authenticator apps. Say again?
Duo is a great one.
Mm-hmm. Use those. I mean, that is encrypted, that is secure, that is safe. There's no transmission between you and the server to get that number. That number is generated from an algorithm and you get one time. And it's not transmitted across the internet. It's a QR code or a URL you type in. So I won't say it's foolproof, but it's way better than the alternative.
Yeah, I think you you cut out another large chunk of the population as to how important you'd have to be for anyone to do that much work to get into it.
Yeah, and that's one of those. I don't want to say I'm a realist because I'm definitely one of the paranoids. You know, they are out to get us, right? 2.7 billion records are leaked on the internet. Our phones are being monitored all the time. You can't say we're not under threat. We're absolutely under threat. We have a problem with people trying to get into our stuff in bulk. So let's make it as hard for them as we possibly can. Put in the two-factor, put in encryption, put in all those things so they have to take extra steps.
Yeah, the goal is to get it essentially kind of like I think we talked about this in 1 week. Was the YubiKey, and how someone from university said, "Oh, the YubiKey can be hacked if you have access to it. Take it apart, like probe it 50 times, and then you can get like the code from it." Like that's where you want to get. Where at that point, you know, it's ridiculous to say, "Oh, it's not secure." It's like if they've got it, they've got it. You know.
Yeah. I think we talked about that before. I just saw on YouTube because there's also been in the news like about TP-Link, about throwing out all your TP-Link devices because they're not secure and they have flaws in them and everything like that. And so I decided, well, I'm gonna, like, guy says, I'm going to show you how you can hack a TP-Link, you know, because it's in the news. I'm like, okay, I've got time to kill. I want something plain while I do some other things. Sure. Well, yeah, it turned into the fact that he had it. He had to take it apart. He had to look for the header to plug in a serial connection, or to take, actually, I think he took out the chip that stores the firmware, unsoldered it from the board, put it over somewhere else where he could read it, download the like. Wait, I thought you were gonna make it sound like this was like this easy thing. Like I'm not that worried if that's what you have to do to hack into this thing, kind of thing. Because I don't let just anybody walk into my house and take my equipment. Like, hey, can I crack this open and take a look at it? Well, yeah, sure. No, that's not happening.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's not if you can, it's if the average person can. That's where the Flipper Zero got such publicity, is because it gave those black magic tools a simple to use interface that any 12-year-old could sit down and say, I can do this too. I mean, I won't say how many hotels I use my Flipper Zero to clone the key and then get into my room just to see if I can.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's so many simple things that can be done. Like you're saying, tools like the Flipper Zero that make hacking just so easy. I mean, making a duplicate network in a public place, one that
Pineapple.
redirects you. Yeah, I mean, a pineapple, yeah, that will do it. You make a duplicate network, and all you have to do is you make a fake Google login screen, and you'll get Google accounts. I've seen it done.
I just to scare you a little bit more, Jackson. I just saw a little pocket-sized router, like one of those old travel routers.
Yeah.
There's a firmware that you can install an imitation pineapple. So for $30 and a couple hours of tinkering, you have a pineapple.
Yeah, no, they're not, and yeah, they're not terribly. I mean, there's ways to do it inexpensive.
So money isn't the barrier anymore. I think. Do you remember the what was it? The Kia challenge?
I heard about that. I don't remember what it was. Was it unlocking the Kia, or what was the thing?
You could get into the car and start the Kia with something akin to a USB cable. And it was so simple that millions of TikTokers were watching thousands of actual people breaking into cars and stealing them.
Yep, a lot of people recording their crimes, and I'm pretty sure the book got thrown at them because, saying it was just for the joke isn't a good legal defense.
How are people recording Exhibit A and getting off? I mean, here's a video of me doing my
client is an
crime.
idiot.
Let me talk to you.
I commit my crimes in private and keep them private.
Your Honor, my
If
client
I commit crimes, which I don't.
really didn't mean to. He's really sorry. He didn't mean to. Please, please, please. I didn't think whining was an actual. I didn't know that whining was an actual defense, but maybe it is. I don't know.
I'm just shocked that that's even a thing. I mean, the social media is to the point where we have actual crimes being committed, recorded, and shared. And I mean, that's low-hanging fruit for the cops.
Well, I mean, we could always look at South Korea and how they're treating one certain YouTuber for recording his crimes and broadcasting them, and how he is not going to be extradited. He's gonna face his time in court.
And I think every person who tries to go out of their way to be a menace or a nuisance to other people should have their day in court.
I think my favorite, or maybe this is actually my least favorite, and that's why it's my favorite, is there was like the ice cream challenge where people would go into a store, open up the ice cream, lick it, close it, and then put it back.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is so angry, and it was crazy. People would just post it on social media, and yeah, people went to jail for it or had extreme fines. I don't remember what it was, but you just like look at it and you're just like, what is wrong with you?
That was violating so many different regulations and laws that I believe the people
It's
were
just disgusting.
Yeah, I think it's at the federal level that they were being tried because of, yeah, you don't.
Teenagers too. It's teenagers.
So let's put a picture on this, guys. This is social media encouraging people to break laws. They get caught on it. It's like that money machine, that money glitch that they were talking about with Chase Bank.
Mm-hmm.
These social media groups are pushing out these narratives. They're not catching it and stopping it in time.
Well,
I
is it
got
their responsibility? Then you bring up that turns into a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo, which is who's
Well,
really responsible.
is it responsible to control that? Are they helping society? Are they making society a better place? Are they just allowing social depravity?
I got two more for you. In the railroad industry, there are two big ones, two instances of so-called rail fans. That the one that happened some time ago, it was a kid that, again, I'm going to video myself and publish Exhibit A for everybody to see. But he filmed himself unlocking so on a railroad, you have the switch tracks, right? Some of them, a lot of them on the main line are electronically controlled, so they're part of a centralized control system. Okay, so a dispatcher in Omaha or in Texas or somewhere in the country has the ability to just push a button and it switches the track so that the train doesn't have to stop. It can just keep going and be directed to where it needs to go, right? Well, a kid filmed himself unlocking the switch, like it's supposed to be padlocked. And I can't remember if it wasn't or if he figured out a way to defeat the padlock or somebody just forgot to lock it. I don't know. But then showed him unlocking it and setting it to manual mode and switching the track back and forth in manual mode. And everybody who knows anything about railroads is looking at it going, like, their mind is just exploding. Like, are you freaking nuts? Like, how are you even doing this and not like getting caught and everything? And I think he did get caught because somebody did like figure it out and like reported him and turned the video into him. The other one though was of a kid that was supposedly just filming out there sightseeing, looking for trains, train spotting. And he is at this grain elevator and a train comes into view and it ends up crashing into a parked rail car on a side track. Okay, so what had happened is that the switch track had been set for that side track, and that crew didn't know it because they kind of came around a corner and didn't realize that the switch was set wrong. And even at that, when you're coming at a certain amount of speed with a certain amount of thousands of tons behind you in momentum, it's going to take you a while to stop anyway. Right? So they crash into this, and it's causing like thousands upon thousands of dollars in damage. It derailed the train. Nobody was hurt, thank goodness. But it derailed the locomotives. It caused a lot of damage to the lead locomotive, plus the rail car that was there and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Causes delays on the rail line because now nothing else can move on that rail line until that mess is cleaned up. Okay. Well, it comes to find out that as the police investigated, they figured out that it was that kid filming it. He had set the switch. He staged it so that he could get likes on YouTube for catching this, incredible event of a train wreck.
Kind of like a Bruce Almighty kind of moment.
Kind of, yeah.
Cause a disaster and be there to film it.
Exactly. And so he's in deep trouble for that. But at the same
Didn't he get, like,
time,
10 years?
it also brings up all these questions of like, well, how was he able to access that and be able to turn that switch. Like, that should be a locked thing. That should have a padlock on it or security. Like, unless he's going up there with like big bolt cutters and just cutting the lock off with just
Well,
deliberate.
that's absolutely possible. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a lock in the middle of nowhere is not secure.
Yeah, and that's where you kind of need to implement some sort of a system with a passkey, right? Or, you just add on those layers of protection. And I think that's the thing is
Mhm.
we've gone so far that we're now having to go back and redo a lot of this infrastructure that we have because people weren't thinking of this, when it was first put in. And now that we have different technology, we have different capabilities, there's a lot of, backtracking that needs to be done and redoing a lot of the security measures that we have on some of the time simple things. But obviously that can have huge consequences, like somebody just switching a track.
And there was a lot more trust back then too. I mean,
Well,
you
let's
look
go
at
back to the golden rule.
you look at 9/11. How drastically did the world change in 9/11? We
Mhm.
went from, I remember being able to go to an airport and walking all the way to a gate to go see somebody arrive home or to send them off or whatever it was, right at the gate. And there was so much freedom that we enjoyed because everybody generally had this level of trust. Like, who would do something crazy like that? You look at our
Mhm.
school system, Columbine was the one that started it. And now our schools have security almost on the level of state prisons, you know, in some places,
Some of
metal
them do, yeah.
detectors, really, and everything. There's only certain entrances in and out. They're monitored at all times and everything. You can't be there unless you have a reason to be there. You have to be signed in, signed out, wear an ID badge, this and that. It's crazy. Whereas before, school's like, oh yeah, I just gotta go take my kid his homework and drop it off, or I just want to hang out and meet with the teacher afterwards. Like, no, you're done. You're done. You either have an appointment, be here, or you're out.
Yeah, no, you're totally right, and I obviously missed that era, but it was funny, over the holidays, my family and I we watched Home Alone. That's one of our favorite movies to watch,
Mhm.
and they're late to the airport, and every time we watched, like, there's just no way, like you would never make that flight today, and you
Mhm.
can see them, and they just run right up to the gate, no security, no nothing, and so it's funny. We noticed that this last year we watched, we're like, wow, like you can't do that anymore. Not at all. Not even close.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a lot that is changed. I think that's one of the reasons I hate these trolls online so much is because they take advantage of free and open policy. Now we've got to make a rule about this. Don't
Have
open
nice
ice cream
things.
and lick it. Like, why should we have to have a rule that's that specific? Don't tamper with food. We've already got a bunch of laws, right? But why would people do this? And we're just watching
Reviews
it kind of go down.
or likes and views.
You and I would love to see
Hmm.
not a like button, kind of like this guy's a troll.
I want to see a report this video button.
Well, and like a report this video, like I don't like this video. I watched it because of the cringe factor. This is a cringe video. This is a video of somebody that's not adding to society. They're just causing a menace.
I think we
I
should
mean,
make a
there's
social media platform just called Cringe, and that has you have the like, bring back the dislike, and then you have the cringe button.
and then you'd have people going for the most cringe without getting arrested.
Mhm. How close to the line can I get without actually going over?
And maybe there should even have you get like a button for like blot on society, and you get to
Well,
push that one, and then everyone gets like a meter on their profile. This is how much society hates you.
Your prison term is determined by how many views your video got. More
I've got
views, longer
one
term.
I've got one option that we could pull on these guys to help them understand they need to stop. Reverse monetization.
Oh, make them
So
pay.
instead of getting paid for views, they pay for views.
Yeah. So you wanted to be popular, huh?
You're popular.
It's gonna
And now you're
cost you.
funding all the good people.
Yeah, you make
I
a
mean, YouTube's got a
platform
funding
with,
issue, right?
with no ads, no nothing. It's just funded on human stupidity.
That sounds like the
wouldn't feel right
entirety
at
of
the end of
human
the day, though.
history.
You signed the terms and conditions. It was there.
Yeah, I don't think demonetization is the trick. I think reverse monetization would really put people into a different place.
It's
think
something that you'd have to implement later, right? Because no one's gonna want to sign on to that. You make the app, you get all
Don't do it
the
now.
bells and whistles, and then later you do the little sneaky. We're updating our policy, and sneak that one in there.
Roll it in now. If you're antisocial with your behavior, you're going to pay society for being antisocial.
What if I'm antisocial, as in like I just don't want to talk to anybody, but I still have to pay?
No, it's a legal definition, antisocial, where you're working against the common good. I mean,
Yeah.
violating the terms of service gets you demonetized. I think this would be a fantastic tool to push even further. Like, okay, you're not just demonetized. You can stay on the platform, but you're going to help our bottom line.
Please make more.
Think of it as community service.
Oh, and it's not just their views; it's all the commentaries from other YouTubers talking about their content. That adds to your, shall we say, contribution to this platform. All the reposts, retweets, all that stuff. So I don't know, guys. I mean, we're getting close to the end of the conversation here. Got another few minutes, but Salt Typhoon, what do you think?
Bring an umbrella.
Needs more salt.
Get an umbrella. More salt.
Sadly, I don't think it's going to be the last time we hear about something like this. This is just what's in the news today.
There's always going to be another hack.
There's going to be something else that comes up later on.
So I think we could probably put a list together of recommended tools, like Signal, WhatsApp, and other encryptions. But I think anybody that's wanting to take it to the next level, I mean, do your homework. Get on Google. Get on, call your local technologist. Talk to your IT guy at your workplace, or dare I say it, call other companies out there and talk to us. I mean, any of us. Happy to help. Good technology person is going to help you solve these problems, because we don't want to deal with cleaning up the problem.
I
I
would
mean,
say
Mike, wouldn't you agree? I mean, we want to do an ounce of prevention.
Yep.
so. I would say
Get a
find somebody that is paranoid about technology, but they aren't like over the edge yet. Like not tinfoil hat territory. Just like I don't want them spying on me level.
One of my favorite memes is the tech enthusiast has
Yep.
like the smart home and smart everything, smart TV, smart toaster, smart fridge, and then it says like an actual tech guy. He's like, the only tech I have in my home is a printer, and I keep a loaded gun next to it in case it makes a weird noise.
Yep.
That's That's like the step before the tinfoil hat. That's kind of where you want to be, somewhere around there.
That's awesome.
That reminds me of another one.
I can't. Go ahead.
So, person asked me, "What's the gun for?" I said, "For shooting Transformers." I laughed. He laughed. The toaster laughed. I shot the toaster.
Still, it's on my bucket list. I want to hack a toaster.
See if it'll play Doom.
There was a competition a while back. So there's annual competitions where they invite hackers to come in and show their 0-day vulnerable. How do they hack things? They got a printer without speakers. They got a printer to to play the song "Thunderstruck" from AC/DC.
That's pretty good. Just using the stepper motors
They
or
got-
whatever they've got in there.
Yep, they got some money out of
Oh
that
man,
one.
that's funny. That's pretty funny. There's a lot of stepper motors are so loud. I mean, if you get the cheap drivers for them, but I mean, I've seen some funny things done with some stepper motors.
There's people who've done the same
Imagine
thing,
being-
orchestrating old 1980s disk drives. Just
Sweet dreams.
the stepper motor, yeah, just a whole array of stepper motor driven disk drives, and they've
Floppytron. If anybody wants to look it up,
Yeah,
look up
exactly.
Floppytron.
That's right.
there's some YouTube videos out there you can go watch.
Yeah, imagine being in a server room before they figured out the acoustic dampening on servers,
Oh
the
my
server motors.
gosh,
Man,
it'd be awful.
That was loud. It's feeling like an organic stop point, guys. I don't want to start a new conversation and overshoot our time budget, but gosh, I can't tell you how much I enjoy having these conversations.
That's
I think we
great.
might even have a couple viewers on this one, which would be awesome.
cool.
So if you're with us, hit like and subscribe, or one, or just both, or I don't know, take your pick. Let us know what you're thinking of this. If you want to hear us talk about other things, or if you want to join the conversation, send us a message. Love to have you.
Got something wrong.
Till
Please
later.
point it out.
No, don't point out. We are absolutely right in everything we say and do. So we don't post on TikTok. No, definitely. If we made a mistake somewhere, let us know. We're happy to make a correction or redact or whatever it takes to make it right. But until next time, I'm John.
I'm Mike.
I'm Jackson.
I'm Marty.
And I think we're out of here. Have a good night.